Hello guys, so welcome to another video. So recently, if you see, the democratic crisis in South Korea have left the entire world astonished, right? So imagine a scenario where a sitting president declares martial law and attempt to dismantle the democracy, and that is a very developed country also. And this shocking event has raised an important question for us. Could something similar happen in India also? So, see, if a leader were to declare an emergency tomorrow, will our democracy survive? So, that's exactly what we are going to discuss in this video. I'll try to explain why Indian democracy is not only resilient but fundamentally stronger than many others. So, let's get started. Let's talk about the South Korean crisis first. So, if you see on December 3rd of 2024, South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol declared martial law and imposed emergency in South Korea. And his justification, he claimed opposition parties were influenced by North Korean ideologies, and that is actually posing threat to the national security. So the initial plan was to suppress political opponents, detain members of parliament, and consolidate power. But this attempt backfired. Within hours, South Korea's parliament convened an emergency session and rejected the emergency and also forced Yoon Suk Yeol to backtrack. Okay, so it was a swift and historic failure anyway. Now, coming to why the plan have actually failed. See, the two main factors actually contributed. One is the hesitation of military and then the parliamentary unity. So, see, South Korean military showed reluctance to act against democratic institutions, which is a very good sign, in fact. And soldiers also questioned the morality of their orders that created internal resistance from, within. Coming to parliamentary unity. See, South Korea's parliament, despite, there are many differences, but despite all those differences, they stood united in rejecting the president's undemocratic move in this case. And this unity showcased the strength of democratic values even in moments of crisis. So now let's compare or let's talk about India's emergency of 1975. So we know India too had faced a dark chapter in its democratic history from 75 to 77, 1975 to 77, when Prime Minister Indira Gandhi imposed a 21-month long emergency. And during this time, fundamental rights were suspended, political opponents were jailed, and press freedom were curtailed. And if you see, there was something similar happened during British time, 1877, 1878 time, that's Vernacular Press Act. And many have actually compared Indira Gandhi's, act of curtailing the press freedom during 1971, similar to that, and that too as a, century celebration exactly after 100 years. So it was, again, if you look at it, it was a tough period in history and Indian democracy, but the nation emerged stronger. And post emergency, significant reforms were introduced, so that it will ensure that such kind of misuse of power won't happen again. Okay, now let's also understand the safeguards in Indian democracy. See, unlike South Korea's recent events, India have robust safeguards against the misuse of emergency powers. There are clear guidelines with respect to that, and we also talk about the parliamentary approval aspect also. See, the constitution now allows emergencies only under specific conditions such as war, external aggression, or armed rebellion. The vague term internal disturbances, which was used in 1975, has been removed. If that is given, if given that context, and then for any such kind of internal disturbance, you can use emergency, but that's no more possible now. Now, coming to parliamentary approval, see, any emergency must be approved by two-thirds majority in both the houses of parliament if it need to remain in effect. So this basically ensures the accountability and also prevents any such unilateral decision because you need that kind of majority. Let's compare. Let's understand the difference between India and South Korea, because there is a possibility that they may ask you a question when it comes to comparison between India and South Korea, right? In the GS paper too. See, both nations are democracies. India's structure offer greater resilience. See, our judiciary, if you talk about election commission, and free press act as strong pillars of democracy. Additionally, India's diverse and decentralized governance makes it difficult for any single individual to consolidate power. So South Korea's crisis actually revealed the fragility of its systems where the single leader almost succeeded in dismantling the democratic norms. But that won't happen when it comes to India. So see the global reaction. If you look at, see, the surprising aspect of South Korea's crisis was the lack of international condemnation. The United States, often vocal about democracy, choose to remain silent in this case. Even within South Korea, there were, a little accountability. The president simply apologized and life moved on just like normal. Such an outcome would be unimaginable in India. Can you imagine such kind of situations? So the president is coming and declaring emergency, and next day onwards, things are normal. He simply apologized. See, here the public backlash and institutional checks basically ensure the actions of any leader. So you can't do such kind of actions. It won't sustain, it won't happen in country like India. Anyway, see, that's exactly what we were talking about. It won't happen. See, the chances of similar scenario in India is, I would say it's not possible, though diplomatically I can say it is very less. Our system demands transparency and accountability at each and every level. And if a leader tried to impose martial law on emergency, the judiciary can intervene and the parliament can reject it. The civil society will strongly reject it and resist it, and the press will also talk about it. So India's democratic framework has evolved significantly since 1970, making it far more robust than South Korea's. And India is not the India which we have seen in 1975-77 time. Right? So now the question is, what is the future of democracies? The South Korean incident is, it actually serves as a warning for democracies across the world, and it highlights the importance of vigilance, unity, and strong institutions, the requirement of all these. So India, as the world's largest democracy, sets an example of resilience and adaptability, and we are able to adapt to any such changing conditions. But we must remain cautious and committed to safeguarding our democratic values by ensuring, they endure for generations to come. So see now what's the future? Again, democracy is a fragile yet invaluable and inevitable system that demands constant attention and vigilance. So South Korea's recent events basically reminds us of the importance of protecting our democratic rights and institutions. So India come a long way since its emergency era. That is what I told you. India is not the India that we have seen in 1975. Our democratic framework is now beacon of strength. So let's stay united and, upholding these values, ensuring that democracy will always prevail. So again, guys, accountability is very important. Transparency is very important. So that's about this session. Thank you so much for attending. See you guys in the next video. If you're looking for any mentorship program for civil services or the courses, you can check the details in the description. The links are given. So see you in this session. Thank you.